what I want to talk today about is the topic of which I called Spirituality of Tantra at Times of War. I think the teaching of Tantra is very useful and very, uplifting when we deal with such a strong emotions which are brought in situation like war. I mean, you can use these techniques that Tantra provides to deal at the same time of war or at any other situation when you want to understand yourself and your psychic. And the Bhairava, Shiva, on the cremation ground, on Smarshan, around ashes and corpse of dead people. We see them in the fearless state. They sit on death without a fear. And these fearless states are one of the main cores of Tantra. And this is probably the higher up limit of the Tantric teaching. And although these fearless images are very moving and inspiring for those who seek new knowledge on life and death, they still go out of the usual life, everyday life, and everyday situations that each of us have in basic situations with in conversations, at work, in the family, talking to children. But at some situations, even in everyday life, we might get very angry or we might get very upset. And what I want to specialize today, what I want to really talk about today is these kind of situations of everyday life, which if we acknowledge them and understand them better, we might not get into such big and very high up limit situations. I've seen as I was in my hometown when the war started in the first time in 2014, I saw people and I saw my students who were leaving the country or leaving the city, or I was living in Donetsk and Mariupol at the same time, so they would leave Donetsk, and those who were leaving, they would change many things in their life after such strong situation as war. Many people were thinking, if we're changing our life so dramatically, if we change the place of where we live, if we change the town, if we change, if we have another life, why wouldn't we do it the way we really want it? So I saw my students who were people who are living for many years in the city, they move out of the city. I've seen people who were changing their profession. They always wanted to have another profession, do other things, study different other things. So after they left their hometown, they started a new profession or a new study subject. They changed. Some people even changed. Some people divorced, and some people got married because they always wanted, and just there wasn't enough push or enough the will to do it wasn't as strong as they were living in their hometown. So although they were living in their hometown for many years, many things they weren't doing because everything was already settled in their hometown. And because of the situation with the invasion of the Russia, because of the aggression at that moment, they had the opportunity to understand what they really want. And the main conclusion that I made from it is that people want things, they desire things, but they don't permit themselves to live the desires they have, because they are used to have their life in a certain way and they don't want to change it. And of course, the situation with aggression of another country is very unpleasant, and it shouldn't be like that. It's very wrong. And those people who were changing their life because of the war could have done that even if the war didn't start. And I read this, I give this lecture to people who are not at war, at least not in their country. And I wanted to bring up these tantric ideas about the importance of desires we have. And this is one of the main core things of Tantra, the importance of wishes and desires and emotions that we have inside. Let's continue. I call it different phases of Tantra. So we have these fearless gods who live full life, if you can say it about the gods, without fear of doing things, of willing things. Another phase of Tantra are the aesthetics. So we combine all of the feelings we have at certain moment of life in certain world that we live in, and that all brings us a certain existential feel of the moment. Another phase of Tantra is the differentiation of emotions. Many people have a very small package of emotions that they understand and that they can acknowledge. And one of the goals of Tantra is to understand all of the emotions we have and to differentiate all of them, separate one from another, because sometimes people have emotions glued up together. So what you feel? I feel that I'm upset, but that's not enough. You don't understand exactly what you feel. What kind of upsetness do you have? Some people don't differentiate emotions, and their emotions are sort of glued up together. So when you ask someone, what do you feel? They would say, I'm angry. But that's not very precise understanding of what that person feels. And the last phase of Tantra is, at least that I want to bring up, is the understanding the core of our desires and wishes. And the picture that I have here is the sexual act between Shiva Ichinamasta on the cremation grounds, and the goddess sacks her head off in the this peak of emotions. To understand the tantric tradition, we have to understand that it is a form of it's one of the sides of a long-lasting dialogue between the tradition of Brahmanism and Tantra. Tantra is sort of another side of Brahmanism. It's the opposing side of Brahmanism. It stands on the ground of purity, purity of emotions, purity of caste, purity of ritual. Tantra stands on the opposite side, impurity, or actually purity, but in total acceptation of emotions, total opposition of caste, and rituals are different in Tantra, more chthonic, more transgressional. Brahmanism stands on values of for ashramas, and in certain period of time of life, you can do a certain thing and you cannot switch them around. Your life is very structured. If you are in the stage of grihastha, the housekeeper, you can not move to sannyasa and do some actions or meditations for moksha, for freedom, if you didn't have a house, you didn't have a family, and you didn't have sons for the ancestors. And Tantra opposes these rules and gives you the freedom of desire that stands as a priority to all these stages. One of the values of Brahmanism is the inner controller, antaryamin, that inner side of us that controls the feelings, the emotions, the desires, the rule of life, the stage of life, and so on. And the Tantra comes up with the idea of not controlling yourself, of letting go of the desires. One of the values is the three depths, na, and they are, you have to give your intelligence, your study to the sages, you have to sacrifice, you have the sacrifice for the gods, which you have to do every day, many rituals, many sacrifices, and you have to give the sons to the ancestors. So you have to have a you have to have children, and you have to have a family. And Tantra, of course, gives its own view on this, which is where the tantrics say that the study is the feeling the desires you have, the going after your desires, and the love for life, full life in your desires and emotions and feelings. That's the depth of every person. And we have also the Chatur Artha, the purposes. So if when you're born in the Brahmanic tradition, you have a purpose for the life already described for you. And it should be Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, which fully explain and give the vision of life for the Brahman and for the for the one of the people who are born in this culture. And you have to get better. You have to get more pure, more clean on doing all of these values, living by these values in Brahmanism. And in Tantra, the cleanliness, the purity is not a value, or the tantrics always play with these Brahmanic values and oppose them. So what one of the main ideas that Tantra brings is written here, Nadhena Vina Muktihi. I mean, I describe it like this, which means there is no freedom without the body. This is the saying of one of the tantras, Kirana Tantra. And on one side, Brahmanism is based on the ritual, on the stages of life, on this very high standard values of doing something that is not concerned with the body. And body in Brahmanism doesn't have the purity. You always have to be more and more purified. But Tantra comes up and says that is wrong. Body, without body, there is no freedom, there is no moksha. And of course, when we talk about body, we first of all talk about everything that body contains. The desires we have, the emotions we have, the fluids we have, and none of this can be dirty or unpurified. And knowing this, Tantra brings up this is just a short message here, but behind this message, we have a whole new tradition forming. And prior to this tradition, we have asanas in yoga. This is the tantric movement. If in Brahmanical tradition we have asanas, only the sitting pose for meditation, in tantric tradition afterwards we get sexual practices, we get asanas, we get all these body activities. And one of the ideas that we get with when we start looking into the body and in the inclusive way is chakras. And there is a whole new narrative of a subtle body that has chakras which represent different states, different emotions, different energies of our psychic world. And that is what I want to speak about next. So here we have two very beautiful pictures, and on these pictures we see a normal physical body, and inside we see the inner world of the subtle body. And one of the things that we see in both of these bodies is the chakras, which are drawn as a flower, as a lotus. We can see that both of them have a lotus in the sacrum area, and both of them have a lotus on top of the head, and many different lotuses in between these two. And each lotus has a different number of petals, and inside they all connected by a line or a channel or an indriya, and inside each of them we have an animal and some kind of goddess or god. So the core of each chakra is some kind of goddess state, and each of these high metaphysical goddess states is emotional, because we understand that, for example, in the heart area we have certain feelings, like for example love, or all of us understand that here in the between eyebrows we usually have our thoughts and we have a will to understand things. And for example, in the lotus in the area of genitals, all of us understand that it's some kind of sexual feelings and desires. Or in stomach, if we concentrate in this area, we understand that in our stomach there is a feeling or desire for power. So we have chakras as centers of those emotions and desires that we have inside. And what beautiful about Tantra is that these emotions for Tantrics are a part of the goddess or a god. And sometimes we in everyday life forget about this, and we understand love as some kind of, things in between your daily tasks, or that sometimes we think that our thoughts is something regular and everyday things that we do, but it's a part of a devotion. So it's a part, or even the sexual desires, it's also a part of this devotion of connection with something spiritual, godlike state. So let's dive into each chakra and understand what kind of feelings and emotions and desires we have inside of each chakra. So we will begin with Ajna. So this is the chakra that is based here in the between eyebrows. So it's the space between the eyebrows and the upper lip. So this is the part of the body which we have the Ajna activity. And Ajna is this area. What do we use it for? We use it to, we have here a will to understand things, to analyze things, and to conceptualize things. When we concentrate in this area, we will understand that we have a will to do that. It's not that something that we do automatically. It's in this part we want to conceptualize things we understand and see into a worldview, into a some kind of understanding of the world. And the next chakra is Vishuddha. It is located here in the neck area. And if we concentrate in this area, or if we think which kind of emotions or desires this chakra or this part of our body motivates us to do, then we'll understand that this part of our body is motivates us to for creativity. We want to express ourselves in certain words that we use to express our feelings and thoughts, and express ourselves in the clothes we wear, in the way, the design we have for our apartment, our house. And it causes us to imagine things, to go abstract things. And usually when we think about this part of the body, and if we look into, I mean, the Italian culture is very rich on creativity, imagination, art, and when we think of the people who are, you know, who are creative, sometimes we see people who have, you know, a scarf around their neck, or people bring attention to this part of their body. The next part of our body, the Anahata chakra, which is in the chest, in this chest area, heart area. And of course, all the physical organs that we have in this part of our body is concerned with this chakra. So we have the heart here, the lungs, the bronchos, and the energy inside of this part of our body motivates us. We have a will to love and be loved, to care, to joy, to express tenderness, mercy, kindness. All these feelings are a part of this psychic inner world in this part, and it's contained here in the chest. So if we have a lot of energy in this part of our body, in this chakra, that we have a more stronger feelings and a will to express love and more love and extra love. But if we don't have energy in this chakra, then we feel depressed. And of course, today is not the topic of understanding the mechanisms of how to gain energy to this chakra and how you can lose energy from this chakra. But we have to understand that each chakra is not some sort of absolute. it's we can lose energy and we can gain energy, and there are laws of this chakra that because if we do these laws, if we understand how this chakra works, then we have more energy. If we do something wrong, then we lose energy. So let's move on to the Manipur chakra, which is in our navel. So we have the stomach in this part. This chakra affects the physical body, which is in stomach, intestines, the upper kidneys, adrenaline, where the adrenaline is made, and vertebra in the Manipur region. In this part of our body. So this is all that this chakra affects in our health system. And if we think of the motives, the desires that we have in this chakra, in this part of our body, then we understand that the main will in this chakra is to achieve goals, organize our life prior to our wills. We have a will for power, dignity, responsibility. And if we have energy in this chakra, then we feel our own status, we feel our own confidence. And if we lose energy from this chakra, if we have very few energy in this chakra, if we did something wrong, then we feel inconfidence, or we don't have a feeling of status. We think of ourselves as something's wrong with me. I'm nothing. I'm no one. So each chakra, when it's full of energy, it motivates us to have a certain desires fulfilled. And if we don't have energy in this chakra, then we just don't have desires and we feel ourselves bad prior to the things concerned with this chakra. And before I go to the next chakra, I want to stop a little bit and explain why the chakra is drawn like this. First of all, we have a yantra inside of each lotus, which we can meditate on to understand the core of the chakra. We have a different symbols, bija mantras, which give us, if we repeated these bija mantras correctly prior to Sanskritic rules, then we will have the access to the energy and to the state which this petal is concerned with. And inside of each chakra, of each lotus, we have here an animal. And when we understand what kind of animal there is, we can also understand what kind of totemic initiation we need to have this chakra. And if you look how these animals perform, they can be very stubborn when they go for their goals and hit each other. So the animal is some kind of suggestions for us from the previous practitioners to explain to us what kind of feelings and desires we have in this chakra. So now we move to Svadhisthana, and these are the genitals of each of us. And if we concentrate in the area of our body where the genitals are located, then we understand that the genitals, where we have the hips area, is concerned with desires, sexual desires, pleasure, sex appealing, playfulness. And if someone has a lot of energy in that area, in this chakra, then you'll be very sexually motivated for pleasure in food, in drinks, in having some kind of activities. You'll be motivated to be playful the more energy you have. And if you do something wrong and you lose energy from this chakra, then you are not sexually motivated and you have like your world becomes less colorful, because sexuality is something that makes our life colorful and brings anxiety to our life. And if you break the rules of this chakra, then you'll have less energy to be sex appealing or playful. There are certain, as I was saying, there are certain laws or certain principles of how each chakra is working. And if you break these principles, if you do something against these principles, against the logic of the certain chakra, then you have less energy. So each chakra is I would say each chakra has its own science that we have to understand to live a full life. Okay, and the last chakra we have Muladhara. Yes, so Muladhara is located in the sacrum. This is the last chakra, which is in the area of the colon, rectum, sacrum, prostate, if you're a man, pelvis area. So it's the base of our body. And Mula means roots in Sanskrit. So the core of this chakra, the desires we have in this chakra, is a will to be healthy, to eat proper, to do yoga, to breathe clean air, to drink clean water. The will to do something good for your health is motivated by the energy of this chakra. So if this chakra is something wrong with this chakra, then you are not motivated, and it's pretty much, you can eat anything or you can eat bad food. You're not motivated to get health for yourself, to be healthy. And you probably all know, maybe you have friends, people who are always concerned with their health. They're motivated to have new, maybe tea, herbal tea, and maybe some other activities that they do, massage, yoga, and they always are motivated to do something good for their health. And maybe you also have friends who are not motivated to do anything about their health. Yeah, they just don't have the energy to do something like this. So another desire that this chakra motivates us to do something is to make comfort for ourselves. So if you have a lot of energy, then you make yourself always comfortable. You find a very comfortable chair. You organize everything in your house to be comfortable, clean, organized, and so on. And some people don't have the energy to make themselves comfortable, and they're pretty much what they wear, how they live, how the house is organized. They just are not motivated. They don't have the energy for it. So now when we spoke about all the chakras, we understand that each chakra is a world in itself. Each chakra motivates us to do things if it has energy. And if we don't have the energy, we just don't think about things concerned with that certain chakra. And each chakra has many petals and many emotional states. And they are all different. So the main conclusion that we can make, those desires that we have to express, and we have to live by them and use this energy to make our life better and more rich. And those chakras that we are not motivated by, we have to do some spiritual practice, some activities to develop these chakras so that we have this aspect, these desires in our life. And when we think about the desires we have inside, we always, there is someone, I think there is someone's drawing on the slides, maybe automatically, or see. So, one more thing that I want to discuss with you is, now when we speak about our human body and all these chakras, we can understand that inside we have many desires that we want to accomplish. But at the same time, all of us understand that we live in a big world, and culture surrounds us. So some desires are forbidden. I mean, they're not permitted by law, they're just permitted by some opinions of neighbors. And if we have some kind of desires, the tantric way is to make these desires to be accomplished. And if we're standing on the grounds of Tantra, this is the freedom to do what you desire. But not, when we talk about desires, some people usually think about some sexual desires or a will for power. And they forget that human nature is much richer, and we have desires of self-expression, of desires of understanding this world, desires to love and care, and of course desires for sexual pleasure and desires for power, also a part of human nature. And from the other side, if we communicate and when we are part of a culture, a certain culture, we always have a conflict between our desires and some kind of attitude towards these desires. And sometimes we don't feel that we want something, but we get the opinion from outside telling us what is right to do. And it is very important, and this is the next small topic which I want to finish up with, which desires are brought from the outside as a right thing to do, and which desires I really feel the energy to do. And to differentiate these two, I bring these three criteria. If we talk about genuine desires that we have in ourselves, in our chakras, in our body, then one of the criteria is the long lasting of the desire. So even if I say, for example, I have a desire, I'm in love with some girl. Even if I say to myself, no, it's wrong, I shouldn't, I will do something else, it's not proper, most probably I wake up tomorrow and I will still think about this girl, and the day after and after. And so this is the one criteria. The second criteria is having the energy, like if, for example, if I have the desire of have the status and have the certain power and have to be a boss of a big company and have the power to organize things, I will enjoy each moment of going to this goal of being a boss. And not only the end of this desire will fulfill me, each step of my desire will fulfill me. The same goes for the Svadhisthana chakra and the sexual desires. If I enjoy, for example, if I have a desire for a certain girl or some kind of experience, I will enjoy when I speak to this person, when I flirt to this person, even without the sexual act as a result of this. And one more thing is that, which I have as a third criteria, is I have bells from the church, and the third criteria is this: when I think about some sort of desire that I have, then all of the chakras feel full and yeah, you feel as a whole. It's a certain feeling that you have when you think about the genuine desires. For example, what I was talking before, I want some power, I want to be a boss in a certain company. And when I can meditate and I can think about this state. I'm a boss. I want to be a boss. I want to work in this company, in this exact company. And so when I think about this desire, if at the moment when I think about it, all the chakras feel good, every part of my body feels relaxed, feels energetic, feels whole, then it's a genuine desire. But if I think about this desire and, for example, I feel that maybe I'm a little bit unconfident, or maybe it's not exactly what I want, or maybe I feel like something is wrong. Like I don't have, something. One of the chakras or one of the feelings in my body is telling me that something is not fully correct. I have to add something to this desire to have the everything is wonderful and I feel fulfilled. So I understand when I talk about it, it's very this criteria is very it's not so stable as the others, but this one is something that we have to understand and use to always have as a criteria whether I should do it or shouldn't. So now we have spoken of those criteria to understand whether this desire that I have genuine or not. Do I really have the energy, or I think that I have the energy to do this? And this is my last slide for today, and I brought some questions that we can ask ourselves. For example, if I don't know what I want, I don't have any genuine desires, and in this situation, I use and I propose to use these questions to understand what I really want in this at this part of my life. So if you look at these questions, we won't go over all of them, but you will get the idea of the questions you have to ask yourself. And I want to make tell you one more thing. If you answer these questions in different parts of your life, in different time of your life, you'll have a different answer. So, for example, the second question: who do you admire or envy? And for example, why do I ask about the envy? Because envy is, you don't usually, people who you envy usually have something that you really need at this point of time of your life. So there is no point of envy. You just have to understand what these people know, what they can, what do you admire really in these people, and work yourself to gain these things that they have, these people. Envy is a very powerful emotion that we can use for our development. And if we understand what we envy, the envy disappears and we really admire that person. And one more question, the third question: what would I do if there were no obligations? And each of us has many roles. We're fathers, mothers, grandmothers, we're boss, we're neighbor, we have different roles. And all of these roles make obligations for us. We have to do this, we have to do that. But and to ourselves we say, oh, I cannot do, I really want to do this, but I cannot because I have to do this and I have to do that and something else. And of course, these obligations have nothing, they don't go against our desires. We use these obligations as an excuse not to do what we really want. So if we think of these questions, what would I do if I didn't have obligations, and understand what we would do, then we just have to do it. And we have to understand how I can do it, having these obligations. And one more question that we will talk about out of this is the fourth question. What would I do if I had infinite amount of money? So sometimes we say, oh, I have these desires, but I won't do it because I don't have the money. But usually it's always an excuse not to do what you really want. If you answer to this question and answer to it really, because we can always say, oh, I would buy an island, or your imaginations can do things, wonderful things, but this question is concerned with only what you really would like to do if you had infinite money. So if you answer to this question, then the next thing you have to think about, how to organize the priorities, where to find the money. So the money usually is an instrument, and it doesn't concern our human nature. So I have many questions here, but I think we have to finish. So you can probably write a couple of them, for yourself, and use them to understand what's the core desires you have. What would I regret not to do? Or what would I do if I lived forever? I mean, these questions are brought up to understand yourself better. And when you answer questions for yourself, for your inner self, to understand yourself better, you have to be in a certain meditative state. You cannot, answer your phone and answer these questions at the same time. Because to answer these questions, you have to really, reflect what you feel. Thank you for your attention. And to summarize, I wanted to speak a little bit about the history of Tantra, a little bit of the importance of our inner desires that we have in our body, a little bit about the differentiating the desires we have in certain parts of the body, and as final, the connection between our mind and our desires to understand better what I want at certain moment in our life. Thank you.
So Dimitri, Valentina is talking about the first part of the lessons where you show images of the tantric deities not having fear and being fearless in the field of cremation, I think.
Yes.
I would like to ask you, just because this has not been further developed, this argument has not been further developed, I would like to ask if there is a way for not feeling fear.
To tackle the reality in a more fearless way.
Mm-hmm.
By practicing Tantra yoga.
Yes, about the fear. Fear is a feeling that all of us have, and there are. Do you hear the church? No? Oh, okay. That's wonderful. Actually, the fear is a very unique feeling that we get. And it is the other side of the feelings we get in our stomach. So the Manipur chakra is the location of fear. So on one side in Manipur we have the will for power, the confidence, the anger, and these kind of desires and wishes and states. And on the other side, if we don't have the energy in the Manipur chakra, we get the fears. So the fear is a symptom, and if we get this symptom, we have to acknowledge it. That if we get this symptom, we will understand that something's going wrong. And the phenomenology of fear is very broad. We can have a fear of something, and this will be a symptom of the direction we have to take to go over it. So when we are a teenager, we're afraid to fight. And that is a symptom that tells us we have to understand how to do it. So whether I or our parents, as a teenager, we have to go to a school where will be taught to fight and to defend ourselves and to be, safe. So people who understood aggression and who can use it for constructive goals, they don't afraid. This is one of the phenomena of anger, another of fear. Another phenomenon of anger, of fear, yeah, because these anger and fear, these are two sides of one of the same aspect of Manipur chakra. And another aspect of fear is based on sometimes when each of us have our own desires and we are going in a certain direction. But sometimes when you go in the wrong direction, you take a wrong turn, you might get a feeling of fear also. So this anger would be a symptom for us, a signal that we're going the wrong way. So we have to change something. And another phenomena of anger is it's very unique, but sometimes we feel anger when somebody else feels aggression against us. So if we did something wrong and another person saying, oh, this Giorgio, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him, I hate him. At that moment, might feel his Manipur, his anger, and it feels like, oh, something, we don't know that Giorgio is thinking like that at the moment. But we will feel fear, and we won't know why do we feel fear. I mean, nothing is going on. I just sit at home, but I feel that something's wrong, and I don't know what. So in this situation, I have to use my yogic skills to sit and understand what is the nature of my anger, because it can be different things.
Quindi
my fear, I'm sorry. I always, my fear. So, I hope I answered the question.
Thank you, Dmytro. Yes, you have answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope we see each other again. Bye. Yes. Bye bye.
Grazie.